I had a great game, and it was week 5 all over game. Week 5 between these two teams went into overtime. It was an unbelievable game. So coming into this one, we're like, oh my God, can we get lucky enough to have another one of these? And sure enough, it came down to the last minute of the game. There were some, some people call them controversial calls, depending on how you look at it. But the Ravens ended up winning, and Lamar was so great. And you and I have obviously...
I missed it. Tell me about it. I didn't get to see it. I had stuff going on in my life. What was going... Tell me how it went.
So Lamar, I got to sit down with Lamar. I mean, this is years ago now, and for an interview for Fox, and he couldn't have been greater. But Lamar is not overly talkative, and he's sort of like short sometimes in answering, and not in a intentional way. He's just like direct to the answer. And sometimes when you're interviewing him, you're like, oh my God, because anyone out there, you're like, you want these people to obviously like enjoy the process of doing interviews, because come on, these guys' schedules are jam-packed, and it's like, I'm so sorry. And I always apologize for them taking time out of their day or whatever, but you just want the experience to be enjoyable for both people. Okay.
Not to be like, oh God, why do I have to come up?
I got to go up and like do this interview or whatever. Lamar was so lovely. He was so like, he had this like, I mean, obviously he just won a game, but still it doesn't negate the fact that like he was jovial. He was fun. I had also mentioned to him about that little bracelet that this girl Presley had made him that he wore.
So sweet.
And he said to me, he was like, yeah, I forgot it. I actually was on my way here to the game today, and then we were in traffic, and I realized like, shoot, I forgot my bracelet. And just, I don't know, it is such an honor to have, and we've talked about it before on this podcast, to have a front row seat to watching these athletes, like watching Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson go back and forth in these like epic battles. Like, look, I know that Joe Burrow and the Bengals aren't having the year that they want, but this fucking guy balled out, and so did Lamar. And I asked Lamar about that, like, what is it like, these battles? And he's like, I wish they weren't like these because they're exhausting, but like, it is so great. Like, just to have that kind of rivalry, a divisional game, and to have these back and forth games. It was an awesome one, and I just felt privileged to like be there for it. So we got another good one this week, which I'm really looking forward to, the Eagles and the Commanders. It's just, the NFL is week to week. I mean, even down to that Kansas City and that Broncos game where it's like a blocked field goal. And of course, you know how much I love Sean Payton. I felt bad for the Broncos, but it's like Kansas City, they like, even with like something like that, like find a way to stay undefeated. And week to week, it's just an awesome it's why the NFL, there's no other league like it. It's just the best.
It's like, even in our game, the field goal kicker, the kicker misses 3 field goals.
Yep.
And it's where I stand on the sideline is basically, that's how I ended up knowing Pat McAfee. I know all the special teams because where we stand is where they're warming up, where they're doing their stuff.
Justin Tucker, I'm so sorry. Let me get out of the way.
Yeah. All those guys. I mean, they'll talk to me during the game. They're so great. And it was one of those, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Nope. Those guys have families. They have worked so hard for this. It is I hate seeing anyone lose. It is terrible. But he is sitting there and he is kicking, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I just don't even want to make eye contact because you feel so bad the day is going that way. So when he lined up to make that field goal, it's just like, oh my God. It's just wild. It's wild. You got a long snapper, you got Debo, you got,
everything. Yeah. I said this when we were sitting there doing game breaks to my sweet researcher, Matt. So I said 4 game breaks. I know we talked about it at the top of the show. I sit next to a researcher, Matt, who I just love. He's so great. Jarrett, who's now with you guys on the road, was my researcher before that, because you need yardage of the play. You need the certain individuals. Is it the 3rd touchdown they scored of the day? Like, things are happening. And so you always have someone next to you that's providing the like pertinent information that you need, or substantive information of like, the Saints have lost 7 in a row, whatever. Anyways. But when Moody had missed his 2nd field goal at that point, I was like, fuck. I was like, here's the thing. He just come off the high ankle sprain, like obviously physically, like not feeling great, or at least the kicks are representing that he's not feeling great. But more than anything, it's the mental part of that, because not every quarterback completes every pass. Not every wide receiver catches every ball. But like, as a kicker, you're expected to make every single kick. So when you don't, it's like that is the last position in sports I would want to have.
Goalie, pitcher, though. Goalie, pitcher, those are pretty difficult too.
They are, but I just feel like with kickers, you're expected to make it. And if you, it's like, oh, you have one job. And it's like, if you have one bad day, like the whole team is like, bro, you have one job. You know what I mean? So it's a thankless job, but I just much respect to kickers. So I'm glad in his particular case, and I know it didn't go that way for Tampa. So this isn't like, oh, I wanted the Niners. It's just like, at least his missed kicks didn't cost them the game. Because
how about Baker stiff arming Nick Bosa?
Holy shit.
Baker is such,
shit.
All day Baker Mayfield. He is just, and listen, I love the 49ers. This is just me talking about a player. Damn, he is just so fun to cover. He is so fun to root for.
That entire drive, starting with that stiff arm. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Baker Mayfield, the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he has to use his legs to extend this play. I think at that point, it must have been 4th and something, or it was 3rd and long, whatever it was, in order to get a first down. Nick Bosa is not a small man.
He's like Sasquatch compared to Baker Mayfield, who's like anyways, I'm not going there, but it's just, he's massive of a man.
Massive. So Baker stiff arms him. And
for not a second, I would love to know, Ryan, how many seconds did he stiff arm him? I realize these are probably not stats.
Extends the play and is able to get the first down, which then sets up the drive that they're able to tie the game and the whole thing. But I'm like, holy shit, that series, like that's where, we hear guys always, I'm like, I want to play for Baker. I want to play with him because he's a dude. This guy will not give up on anything.